Coming up on Western Sports Roundup, we're taking you to Houston, Texas, and give you a recap of what happened last night. Super Series 1 is midway right now. We finished up round number 2 last night. We're on to round number 3 tonight, and the numbers are going to count. We'll give you a preview of what to look for when it rolls around.
And we're going to visit with a couple contestants on today's show. One of them is a former world champion bareback rider. Had to sit out all of last season due to injury, but the year of 2026, he is back and he has been having a great year. He will join us coming up on the show. And also, it's good to be a rookie. It's also good to be number 1 in the world standings after a huge win in San Antonio. The lady that won the breakaway roping there, she will join us coming up on the show. All that and more coming your way right now on Western Sports Roundup.
It's good. It's good. Too flat. There's a new sheriff in town.
Well, howdy everyone, and welcome to Western Sports Roundup. I'm Kennedy Riggs here with my co-host, or I like to call him my little buddy, Ty McCleary. And you know, it's a fun time of year because when Texas Swing rolls around, this is really the time that we get to see all the storylines that are going to unravel throughout the year. They start here, right? So we get a glimpse of who to watch, and that brings us to our Kubota top story of the day.
Yes, it is. Of course, we're brought to you by our friends at Kubota. Together, we do more. Michelle Alley is almost doing just exactly what she did in San Antonio a couple weeks ago, and that is because the first 2 rounds in her Super Series last night and the night before, she won both of those rounds. And the thing is, Kennedy, I mentioned that because we watched her do this exact thing in San Antonio and have some luck down there, won a lot of money in San Antonio. Now she's just moved a little ways down the road to do the exact same thing at Rodeo Houston.
It's kind of fun because I was reading into her story, and you know what? Making the finals isn't even her #1 priority. Training her horses is, and it's cool that you can see that priority shining through and how well they perform together. They are so in sync, very united, and if you look at the money right there, those numbers speak for themselves.
Absolutely it does, and of course you look at it from Fort Worth to San Antonio to Houston, she's already won a little over $14,000, and to be safe, she's just getting rolling in Houston. She could add to that tremendously if she was to have some luck tonight. She is going to move on to the semifinals in Houston after winning the first 2 rounds, but the thing is, that number could jump tremendously for her Texas Swing numbers for Michelle Alley.
Yeah, Rodeo Houston is really where things kind of get to be set in stone. If we start to see the numbers shift and move, but there's so much money up for grabs, but like you said, it could go either which way. So let's talk about what happened last night. Round number 2 of Super Series #1. We started out strong in the tie-down roping. It was all about Tyson Durfee, the guy that we all know and love. He was 9-4 with a great clean run you're watching right now. And you know, he has a gold buckle. He's been to the NFR 14 times, but he hasn't been since 2020. So I almost wonder if he's doing well enough here at these big rodeos at the beginning of the year. Maybe we'll see him again.
We definitely could see the former 2016 world champion again. Not only did he win the round last night, he was 4th in round number 1, so it looks good for Tyson. Come back, do it again, place another, get a good check, I would say, tonight in round number 3, and he should be looking good. Let's talk bareback riding for a moment. How about the guy who just won San Antonio? Oh yeah, he is #1 in the world standings. That is Jaci Hammons. 85.5 points up for him on Survey Championship Rodeo's Squirmy Wormy. That's kind of a unique name, but Jaci Hammons was able to weather the storm there from old Squirmy Wormy and get the round win last night.
You know, Squirmy Wormy, every time I see this horse out, it lives up to its name. We saw Bradley Miller win around at San Antonio, so I think that Jaci knew what he was in for, and he had his items set in line to be able to get that win. So great job to Jaci last night. But let's go to the other end of the arena. In the team roping, Jake Smith and Douglas Rich wrapped it up with a 5-2, a clean run right there. You're watching it as we speak. They made the finals the last 2 years. They've been roping together since 2023, so they're going on their 4th season together, and it really seems like they have it down in their group together.
And the thing is, they were not any luck in night number 1. So with these bracket systems, the Super Series system in Houston, it lets you come back and have a little luck in round 2, round 3. If you didn't have any luck in the first round, that's exactly what happened with Jake and Douglas. So they look good after last night getting the go-round win. As we go to the saddle bronc riding, 2 guys to talk about here. One is National Finals Rodeo talent Alan Bohr. The other one is Gus Galliard. They split the round, 84.5 for these guys to split the round in round 2 last night.
Yeah, a great pair of guys. Like you said, they're kind of on the opposite ends of their veterans or their seasons or their careers, I guess you could say. Alan Bohr's a guy that we've seen for quite a while. Gus was just Rookie of the Year last year, so he's just getting started. Both drew some great horses. Gus is number 7 in the world right now, but out of the finals last year by 6 spots last year.
Yeah, Gus barely missed out on his first trip to the National Finals Rodeo last season, but we're going to see Gus Galliard in Las Vegas. I can assure you that. As we go to the steer wrestling, how about a fast run for Mark Joyner, the former Resistol Rookie of the Year from a few years back? Man, he was 3.6 on that steer. That was 4.3 was second in the go-round last night. It was a fast night in the steer wrestling. They were a little longer night number 1, but holy cow, did he slam one last night?
He slammed one, to say the least. And like you said, he was the only one in the 3s. So he definitely knew what he needed to do. He was up there by a landslide. Hey, let's talk about the girls, though. When it comes to the breakaway roping, it was none other than Jackie Crawford herself in her pink for Oakland. You know, 3-4 was a great time, especially because they had a pen of fast calves last night. So when you get a runner, 3 is actually a really great time.
It was, and she did. You're right, most of the calves were a little faster. That one was a good draw for Jackie, but that veteran, she knows it. When you draw a good one like that, you've got to utilize it. That is exactly what she did. She was second in round number 1. Oh, by the way, she's the champion at this rodeo just 2 years ago. So that smile on her face, she knows what that smile's about walking out of NRG Stadium.
Well, let's talk about the bull riding. Roscoe Jarbo paired up with the bull named Rise Up for $3,500. You'll notice that's different from the $3,000. $500 was ground money. And you know, just in case you are wondering, the ground money doesn't go towards the semis qualification. It still goes towards the world standings. But Roscoe definitely is in good place to advance to the semifinals with that $3,000 still going to that qualification.
Clear as mud, right? Everybody got that? You're figuring out what
Right?
we're putting down there? Yes, exactly. So we'll try to keep up with that as we go through all of the Super Series there in Houston tonight. It's going to take place as soon as we wrap up here on Western Sports Roundup. Round number 3 of the first Super Series. It'll close out this Super Series. So that's what it looks like as far as all the contestants, as far as who's won the most money so far. There's a look at it. Ty Harris, the tie-down roping with $4,000. Jason Wilson, how about him in the bareback riding? He won the permit finals in Waco, Texas last fall. That qualified him to get into Rodeo Houston, and man, is he taking advantage of that. He won the first round and placed last night. So there's a look at your overall money earners, top money earners, I should say, after 2 rounds of competition in Super Series number 1.
Good times, you guys, and good stuff coming your way. And speaking of that, on the other side of this break, we're bringing you a really neat gal here in studio, Jaci Hammons, the girl of the evening, the girl of the month, I should say, number 1 in the world now in the breakaway standings. She's going to talk to us about her recent success that she had at San Antonio.
And former world champion bareback rider Keenan Hayes is going to join us on the show. We'll talk a little bit about not only the injury that he had to deal with this past season, he had to set out all season long, but he is back in 2026, and man, he is winning almost everywhere he goes. He will join us coming up on the show.
Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Resistol, the official hat of the PRCA, and Cowboys everywhere. Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim. Live boldly. Live in Rock and Roll Denim.
It's good. It's good. 2 flat. There's a new sheriff in town.
Well, he said it best. This is our new sheriff in town in the breakaway roping. Rookie Jaci Hammons, our new number 1 breakaway roper in the entire world. And she just won San Antonio, the whole enchilada. And who better to bring in to talk to us about this than the woman herself. Jaci joins us on the show today. Jaci, thanks for being here, but let's get into this. There's a lot to unpack here. As a rookie at 25 years old, you just go ahead and decide to take the cake at a big rodeo like San Antonio. How does that even feel? Can you even describe the emotions that come with a win like that?
No, I can't. I think I've been staring at this buckle, just like replaying everything in my mind. Just it's crazy.
All right, Jaci, one thing that I noticed in that final run there in San Antonio was that huge smile on your face after that rope broke away. They announced the time. You were clean at the barrier. But two things, I guess, that I noticed was that big smile. And I want to know this. It's a two-part question. Was it kind of that smile of relief, or were you just happy you caught him around the neck? But then right after that, you reached down and pet Obey on the neck right there because you knew that you couldn't do it without that horsepower as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I was just happy I caught. I mean, I was happy enough to have qualified for San Antonio and then to make it through the semifinals and to the finals. I was just happy to be there and catching, and I didn't know where I would end up yet, but having a good time. I knew I was going to be happy with the outcome no matter what after that, for sure. So yeah, and I couldn't do it without him. I mean, he fired perfectly, left great for me. So it's all for him, or all to him.
So impressive. You guys make a dynamic duo, to say the least, but I kind of want to talk about him. He's 13 years old, right? He has a cool story behind him. He didn't really grow up in the arena. He grew up in the pasture, it sounds like.
Yes, ma'am. My dad always doctored yearlings on him. He works on a ranch in Alpine, so he had him out there for a while. He's been out into the mountains and all that, and he did that, kind of only that, till he was around 7 or 8 when I got him.
Yeah, that's definitely what makes good horses, is having a ranch job for a while. They definitely learn how to work for a living. Jaci, I want you to kind of talk about your process in San Antonio, because obviously you have to make it through the bracket competition into the semifinals. You obviously made it through the semifinals into that final round, but talk about all of that, because if we back all the way up to your bracket, I believe you're in bracket number 3, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but you placed in a couple go-rounds in your bracket to advance to the semifinals, but explain that entire process and how it went for you.
Yeah, so I broke out the first round. I don't know if you want to call it nerves or just excitement. I was excited to be there, ready to run my calf. I knew they were fresher, so I knew they weren't leaving well, and I knew I wasn't going to get outrun or anything. So I wanted to see a lot more out than what I did. But like I said, I guess I just got a little excited and left way earlier than I had planned, but I guess I got a little bit of those jitters out and was able to kind of focus and get that second and third barrier right.
Jaci, with that being said, though, because of the way the bracket system works there in San Antonio, it does kind of give you that mulligan. It gives you that, maybe that opportunity to mess up like you did in the first round. But the thing I was impressed for you about is, yes, you broke the barrier in round 1 in your bracket, but you didn't let that bother you any. You came right back, fixed that problem, came back in the second and third rounds, won enough money to advance to your semis.
Yeah, I knew I could. If I could just get that start, I knew I had a chance. And my horse scores amazing. He sits there and until I drop my hand, and he always breaks to the pin. So I knew if I could just do my part and hold him in there as long as I needed to, and then he'd put me in my position that I needed to be in.
Well, I have a question that might kind of touch a sensitive spot in a lot of hearts, but I really do want to know from your perspective what this was like. This happened, some amazing news for you, right? In the midst of tragedy in the rodeo world, when we're speaking about the Domer family and how tight-knit the breakaway roping world is too, you girls are tight, tight, tight. All of you girls are. And so I can only imagine what this mix of emotion felt like for you. But what I really want to harp on is what a cool community we have. Because even amidst all that tragedy, people circling around the Domer family, they circled around you with big smiles on their faces too.
Yes, ma'am. I wasn't lucky enough to have met Oakland. I've heard great stories about her. But we are still such a close family. And so it wasn't easy, that's for sure. And it was heavy on all of our hearts through that. And it's still going to be in the next few weeks too, as we go to Houston. and forever. But yeah, so it was crazy to see, you know, everybody come together, and it's awesome. And they were still also supporting of me though too. So.
Yeah, and that's one of those wins, JC, that not only will you remember for the rest of your life winning in San Antonio, maybe for a good reason and for a bad reason as well. But with that being said, I want to ask you this. WPRA has now updated their standings. You are #1 in the world standings. How does that sound? Jaci Hammons, #1 in the world.
I'd like to keep that for a while, but I know it's still early in the year. We still got Houston, and there's still a lot of rodeoing left to do, but it's still cool to see, at least for a little while.
Well, I'm reading that you quoted and said yourself, we're going for the finals this year. You really are going for the gold, and I think you can see it in the way that you're roping. But tell me about your game plan the next handful of months. Of course, when summer rolls around, you're really going to have that nailed down.
Yes, it's, you know, at the beginning of the year, that wasn't something that I really thought was going to be, you know, in my grasp. But as this keeps progressing, I just keep roping. We don't have a whole lot of money, so I have to win in order to keep rodeoing. So I'm just going to take it calf by calf, and I'm going to go out this summer and try to make the finals and see how far I can go.
Well, I'll just say this, and you already know it, but you keep winning big rodeos like San Antonio, you won't have to worry about that. Obviously, #1 in the world standings, which also puts you #1 in the rookie standings as of right now for 2. So congratulations on what you've already done this season, and congratulations on a big win this past weekend. And Jaci, thanks for joining us here on the show.
Yes, thanks y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Jaci Hammons, your champion from the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo this past weekend. Stay with us. World champion bareback rider, he's having another good season as well, but it comes after some pretty tough year here the last year and a half for Keenan Hayes. He will join us on the show and tell us all about it coming up on Western Sports Roundup.
The 23 champ of the world is back. He's healthy in 2026. Hey, Keenan, turn around. Look at me as I tell you, 87 points, 87.
That is the 2023 world champion bareback rider, Keenan Hayes, that had not only is he having a really good season here in 2026, but my goodness, he had a phenomenal weekend just this past week. So we thought we might as well visit with him here on Western Sports Roundup. Keenan Hayes, the world champ, joins us right now. Keenan, it's good to have you on the show, and I want to start by saying this. It's always good to win no matter where you go, but for you to get 3 rodeo titles under your belt all in one weekend, that's got to be a pretty phenomenal weekend for you.
Yes, sir. No, it was. It's always been awesome to go down to Florida and just kind of hang out and have a good time in the warm weather. It's always kind of treated me well in the past, and yeah, I just had a blast down there.
Well, for anyone that's unfamiliar with your story and where you're coming from, 2025 wasn't exactly what you had hoped for. So walk us through that and what's brought you to 2026 and your momentum you have right now.
Yes, ma'am. 2024, I tore my groins there in Reno, and then finished the whole season off with pretty sored up groins the rest of the year. So we in 2025 we sat out and got surgery down there and got everything fixed up, and waited the whole year and come back I think in November, and just kind of been having fun, kind of getting on horses and trying to get my legs back under me, I guess.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it was November there at the Brawley Cattle Call when you got started off out in California and won that rodeo to kind of kick off your 2026 season. But Keenan, with that being said, because of you having to sit out the entire 2025 season, obviously that didn't let you qualify for the big winter rodeos, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, all that. You're having to rodeo a little different than years past for you right now because of that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, didn't get into Fort Worth or San Antonio. They luckily, I think I got the invite down in Houston. So we're up in Houston next weekend, and just kind of putting our cards on that one. Gonna go out there and have fun, and just be ready for whatever they throw at me.
Well, it almost feels like a little bit of Cowboy Christmas action come early, you know. We're only in the month of February and March, and you were going from rodeo to rodeo 3 in one weekend to total over 10 grand in earnings. But let's talk about that travel, because behind the scenes, I bet that looks like a lot of drive-through meals late at night, a lot of miles on your truck, and you were just saying maybe you have a good in for some flight benefits?
Oh yeah, yeah. We did a whole lot of driving, eating a bit of gas station food. You know, we ran down there to Florida in the rig. Just hit 4 down there while we were down there, and then drove over to Tucson. So we're doing a whole lot of driving. But my girlfriend, she's a flight attendant for Southwest, could maybe get me in for some flights. We're gonna have to look into them.
Yeah, I would say you might need to start looking at that, because from my experience, from Florida to drive over to Tucson isn't just a little hop, skip, and a jump. I mean, that's almost across the entire country right there. Yeah, I would say those flights, you might need to start looking into. They do have an airport, you know, in Tucson, and they've even got one close by in Phoenix too. So you might better check on that, Keenan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we definitely need to look into that. But, you know, we sat out for the whole year, kind of had to get my legs back under me and remind myself that maybe we need to fly a little.
Well, speaking of getting your legs back under you, let's kind of talk about what things have been like since your comeback, because obviously it didn't really bother you none coming back after some time off. But maybe walk us through what it's like trying to find your groove again. Has anything changed from your riding style before your injury to now?
Oh yeah, I fight my head a little bit more than I used to, just coming back off injury. You know, just kind of messed up a couple this year, but we've really done good on some other ones. So we're just kind of go back to having fun and not thinking too much, and just trusting my body that it knows what it's doing, and just keep thanking God every day that we're back to rodeoing.
Keenan, obviously with watching you ride here over the last couple of weeks and what this season has turned into you for 2026, I think I know the answer to this question, but I definitely want the fans to know. How are you feeling? I mean, are the growings good? Are you feeling good? Are you 100%? Are you right there on the verge of that? What's it look like for you?
Yeah, no, I feel 100%. Actually, we were playing a bit of hacky sack right before this. I almost forgot that I had to do this. Actually, we were having such a good time, just feeling good, you know. So we're back to 100% and just gonna start having fun. And well, we've been having fun this whole year. We're just gonna keep having fun and just keep rodeoing.
That's a good mindset to have. It seems like the guys that are having fun are the ones that are doing well. So that speaks to itself. But I'm kind of curious about this. So you had some time to sit back, maybe watch some film, reflect on your riding style, things that you want to do better when you did come back. Now here you are, you're in the thick of the beginning of your season. So I'm kind of curious, are there any horses you're specifically really hungry to get on now that you've had all this time off?
Oh yeah, there's that Lunatic Heaven. I've been looking at that one actually on our way down to Florida. It was out there in Jackson on the 18th, and I kept my eye on that trades list, hoping that kid would turn out, but he went and got on her. But I was ready to pull on into Jackson and try my hand at that one if I drew it.
Keenan, when we look back at your 2023 season, of course, you ended up as the Rookie of the Year that year. You won a World Championship that year, and you were, obviously with it being your rookie season, fresh off on the start of your pro rodeo career. And then at the end of 24, or the summer of 24, is when you actually had the injury part of it. What has that changed for you now? Because I feel like your 2023 season, you were just going to rodeos, you were the young guy, just winning everywhere you go. Now you've had to deal with that injury. It's changed your rodeo style a little bit. It's changed your strategy a little bit. How is that different, say, from a couple of years ago for you now?
So a couple years ago, yeah, I went to everything I could, just having fun, little tiny rodeos, just wherever I could get in. I'd like to get on a bareback horse. But and then I became the champion. So that next year I kind of dialed her back a little bit, played a little bit smarter, kind of went to some more of the bigger ones and less of the little ones, and kind of just played around with being smart, I guess, being the smart side of rodeo. And then took that year off, and then so now I'm kind of back on my, I'll say I kind of be back on my permits again, just kind of going out and having fun, going to a little bit smaller rodeos that I hadn't gone to in last couple of years, and we're just having fun again, just kind of going and seeing places that we haven't saw in a few years, and still gonna try to hit the big ones, but we ain't afraid to duck off this year. You know, just kind of plug away and just see what happens.
You know, Keenan, for anyone watching right now that might be resonating with this story of maybe going through an injury or taking a hiatus from something they were so involved in, I want them to be able to take a lesson from you, because you keep talking about how much fun you're having. You're just focusing on having fun. And it kind of shows that when you kick loose, you're able to perform well. So what are some of those specific things you're doing behind the scenes to make sure you are having fun, even when the pressure comes down to getting on a bucking horse?
Yeah, it's just kind of quit fighting the head. So your brain, you know, it can really be your biggest enemy and sometimes, but it can also be your best friend. So if you can kind of learn how to use that to your advantage, I guess, and just kind of, I mean, definitely use it to be smart about what you're doing, but kind of throw some of that caution to the wind and just have fun. We're just kind of glad to be back out on the road, sitting at home after going and rodeoing for 4 or 5 years straight, and then having to sit at home, do nothing. It kind of puts a little bit in your head. So now that we're back out here, we're just not caring about too much and just going and rodeoing and riding bucking horses.
The world champ is back, and he's having fun doing it, which could mean tough things for other bareback riders in pro rodeo. Keenan, glad you're back on the rodeo trail. Glad you're back healthy, and thanks for joining us here on Western Sports Roundup.
Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. It's awesome.
That is the 2023 world champion bareback rider Keenan Hayes joining us here on the show. When we come back, we'll get to the PBR arena. What happened in Bridgeport, Connecticut over the weekend? We will tell you coming up after the break.
Well, he does get the 8.
That was the most impressive recovery.
Salgado soars. No problem lifting. Heavy load.
Thiago was dialed in.
And just like that, we've got 3 guys. A perfect 2 for 2. 90.35. That's the exclamation point. Yes! It's a score! We should have a new man at the top.
Bridgeport, Connecticut was the stop for the PBR's Unleash the Beast tour this past weekend. Both nights in front of sold-out crowds there in Bridgeport. That is such great news for the PBR and, of course, bull riding fans as they poured into the arena to watch guys like this, as we're about to tell you, won the first round. We'll tell you the second round winner, and we'll talk about the championship round as well, but we're going to kick it off in the first round. Thiago Salgado, 88 points versus heavy load. But he wasn't by himself. There was a split in the first round. He tied with Court McFadden to get that first round win.
Also, I just want to point out, imagine going 8 seconds on one of the rankest bulls in the world and then just having the energy left over to go ahead and hop off the fence and do a backflip and land it perfectly. That's what the Brazilians will do to you. But you know what? Thiago wasn't the only guy that had a good weekend. Let's talk about round 2. In round 2, it was Trace Red. He went 88.6 on Dirty South. And this bull was dirty, but Trace Red matched the energy. He turned right into his hand. And in his interview afterwards with Kate Harrison, he said it was a great score, but a terrible get-off. And then he says, you know what? Forget about the buck-offs and keep going at them. That's how you get it done.
Thank goodness for the bullfighter saving Trace's bacon right there. That ride also helped him to a top 5 finish over the weekend because he made his way to the championship round and, as I mentioned, ended up inside the top 5 of the weekend there in Bridgeport, Connecticut. All right, let's get to the championship round. Let's talk Caden Loud for just a moment. Eyes on me, 87.95. Third in the championship round. Caden Loud has now moved up to 10th in the Unleash the Beast standings.
And did you see his left foot came all the way over to the right side? That was a crazy recovery. He had to even limp off to the side just for safety, but he literally, you could say, left it all out on the field. I mean, watch this right here. We're gonna slow it down. How do you come back from that? But if you're Caden Loud, no problem at all. 87.95 for him on Eyes on Me.
Both feet were actually up on the bull's back for one moment during that ride. You're exactly right, Kennedy Riggs. That was a huge recovery for him. Okay, second in the championship round, but would go on to win the entire weekend. Andrew Alvidrez, 88.25 points. That was good riddance. And here's the story about this ride. They first called it a buck off. The judges ruled it a buck off. They challenged it. Andrew said, no way, I had to be there. Ends up perfect 3 for 3 over the weekend for Andrew. Qualified ride in the championship round. That's the moment that they announced that he had made it. Oh yeah, he ends up being the champion.
Man, that smile says it all. They have the right energy to bring into these kinds of things. But first in the championship round was Leandro Zampalo, and the story here is he was 90-35 on Beck's Red Eye. But this is so cool. This is literally the best year of his career so far. He's only 25. He went 3 for 3 over the weekend. But rewind to his first year in the UTB, and his Unleash the Beast season wasn't so great. He rode 8 out of his 41 bulls. Fast forward to now, and he's ridden 16 of 26. There's still about 10 events left before the World Finals roll around, but I think that this is going to be a guy to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is. And of course, that big championship round win for him lets him end up second behind Andrew for the overall event results there in Bridgeport. There's Caden Loud, Kaika Pacheco, Trace Red. I mentioned him earlier. That's your top 5, Andrew, getting that big win. Jose Victor Lemmy, still #1 right there. Sage Kimsey was actually out for this weekend, decided to set out for the weekend. Dalton Castle, #2. He's been right there at the top of the standings all of this season. There's Brady Fielder, John Krimmer, and Sage Seal Kimsey rounding out your top 5 in the Unleash the Beast standings as it stands as of right now.
Good stuff, you guys. We'll keep you up to date on the PBR as well as rodeo. And speaking of that, after this break, stick with us because we're going to give you a little snippet from Let's Freakin' Rodeo. Tyler Wade right there. He has a mouthful to say, and you're going to hear it.
The Harris boys keep bringing the heat on Let's Freakin' Rodeo this week. Of course, you can check it out with the world champion team roper, Tyler Wade. He kind of has some interesting things to say. In fact, we'll just give you a little snippet of what it's going to sound like. At least he's watching the Cowboy channel anyway. Here's a little more on what Tyler Wade had to say with Ty and Cole Harris.
What does it take to be good nowadays in the team roping?
Man, honestly, in some ways, Ty can probably vouch for this, but like, it almost takes more than you want to give it sometimes. And I don't mean that lightly when I say it, but like, it's not going to sound very well. But like, if I knew what it took when we got started, I'm not sure I would have kept going.
No.
And I mean, it's just like the work that I put in for the buckles I got, like risk versus reward, it's not really there. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible way to put it. I'm sure other guys give you. I've listened to the podcast. You get a lot of different perspectives than that.
For sure. We had one a guy come on here and say, I tell all these grandmas and grandpas and parents when they bring their kids, they're talking about this, little Johnny's dreams or this and everything. And I tell them, if you don't really get after it, their dream's going to be their nightmare pretty quick.
Oh, what? And like, it don't really matter. Rodeo too, like it forgets real fast. Like, this, I was watching a segment on Western Sports Roundup last week, and the last time Wesley and I had won first was round 4 at the finals in December. And then we're a couple weeks into February, and they never mentioned our name. And I said, hey, they forgot about us. I broke my ankle into December. We ain't really been nowhere. We hadn't roped much, but like, when I did rope with a broke ankle, like we still caught. It just, we weren't that fast and we didn't win that much. And like, it's okay, this sport forgets in a hurry. And as soon as round 10's over, you start again. And
yeah, I mean, there was 700 days right there. You're back-to-back world champion, 700 straight days where you walk around and no one's better than you and your partner.
I've never thought that, but I like the way you put it. I've never.
I mean, that's a long freaking time.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I never really thought I would win 1 world championship. So to win 2 was, you know, and especially back-to-back, that was pretty impressive. But knowing the climb and then coming into Wesley and I's 4th year to rope together, like, there's a hell of a mountain to climb.
Tyler Wade, I promise you we haven't forgot about you here on Western Sports Roundup, but I'm glad you're getting the chance to visit with Ty and Cole Harris on Let's Freakin' Rodeo. Brand new episode every week here on the Cowboy Channel, of course, Cowboy Channel Plus app, and on our YouTube page as well. So check that out, folks. I think you'll like it. Let's get to our Veterson top 3 headlines that you need to know here on Western Sports Roundup, brought to you by Veterson. Clean Treat Hill. Michelle Alley has kicked off Rodeo Houston on the right barrels, you might say. say, the correct barrels, you might say. That is 2 go-round wins in a row for her. Can she do it again tonight in the 3rd round? We're about to find out. That's why you need to stay tuned here to the Cowboy Channel.
And another contestant kind of on fire, but in a really different way. Keenan Hayes, coming off of an injury, hasn't been able to make it to the big rodeo, so he's making the little ones count. Big wins in small places, 5 to be exact, over 10 grand over one weekend. We got to catch up with him about everything that he's been doing to try and stay afloat. And we talked about the PBR, and earlier on we might have shown you the wrong standings. Kimsey is in number 1 right now, but we talked about the Unleash the Beast event in Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's our winner of the weekend right there with big smiles on his face. Lots to come, even more after this, you guys. Thanks for joining on Western Sports Roundup today, but hey, keep the Cowboy Channel on because we have more in store for you.
Oh, yes, we do, because as soon as we finish up here in just a moment, Rodeo Houston is about to get underway. 3rd performance, that's right, go-round number 3 of the first Super Series is about to get underway, and we invite you fans to keep it tuned right here to the Cowboy Channel. Rodeo Houston will continue and through its entirety right here on the Cowboy Channel. Thanks for watching Western Sports Roundup. For Kennedy, I'm Ty. Enjoy Rodeo Houston.
Buddy, welcome to the 3rd performance of the 94th Annual Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I'm Bob Toll.